The
tower in
tower?
Jamestown and the flag stand is exactly the same height.
Oh, you mean where you announce?
Yeah, when
It's
you
just
walk up to the tower spot and stand there, I'm in the same position as Jessup is in the flag stand.
Huh.
It's just sketchy as crap getting up the flag stand.
That's not. There's only a ladder there. It's not that bad.
Yeah, Mason.
A completely exposed ladder that's almost like tilted
What
at
I think,
50 degrees
here's
to the
what I
ground.
think, Mason. Next time that you're in Jamestown, I'm sure you'll bring the weather with you. But the next time that you're in Jamestown with the weather, we'll make sure that if there's a thunderstorm coming, we'll have you climb up at the flag stand.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 25 of season 2. Feels like it's been a while since we last were together, but we're here to break down the lowdown heading into one of the last regular season weekends of 2023. We have the usual suspects here, but myself, Mason, John, Jessup, and Mrs. Collinsworth this week, Becca Pelkey, as we're going to probably having a battle royale in the next couple weeks because another Collinsworth is going to be making his presence known very soon. But until then, you get to deal with us for the Collinsworth thing. As always, we want to thank our presenting sponsor.
We're getting a guest?
What's that?
When did this happen?
Wait, what did you say? A special guest?
Yeah, you said there's another Collinsworth.
There's another Collinsworth that will probably make its presence known in a couple weeks on a national level. Chris Collinsworth, Sunday Night Football.
Oh,
I don't watch fake sports. I watch real sports like NASCAR and dirt track racing and IndyCar and Formula 1. Go ahead, Mason. Take us back.
I was saying, now I know how Jessup feels when no one gets the joke that he references. So, anyways,
that's great.
We want to thank our presenting sponsor, Hitch Harness, which is headlined by Tyler Hall out of Fertile, Minnesota. I was just looking at his website today, and he has some pretty cool products on there. Of course, he focuses on receiver hitch storage, mainly dealing with safety and efficiency, but also there's several items for the racers there. Chassis dollies, like we've talked about before, so they can work on the shop easier. Also, they have stuff like pull bar brackets. Now, I'm not a racing expert, so I don't know exactly what pull bar brackets do. I'm sure it just helps.
I know what they are, Mason.
Go ahead, Jessup.
They're a bracket for your pull bar.
Thank you. That's very informative. So there's plenty of options for the racers out there, as well as the receiver hitch owners and the truck owners. So I encourage you to head over to hitchharness.com and check out all their products. Check out the Facebook page. Tyler does such a great job. They're always being innovative and creating new stuff. And so thank you so much, Tyler, for the support of the podcast in 2023. So as you can see, the lineup is very vastly different. The lineup as it stands right now is John Breckles on the pole, followed by Jessup on the front row, and then Becca and myself bringing up the rear of the field. So John, who is in an undisclosed location, how are you doing this week, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm here in witness protection. So as you can tell, I've barely have enough light to even make myself be bright these days.
So you look pretty shady right now.
Yeah, but there's still a nice glare. It's like looking at half of the moon.
It is. And
one's got the sun, the other's the dark side.
Yeah, and what's really even getting better on this is that Jessup's becoming just as glareful as I am these days. So now, one of the best things, though, Mason, about this week is that it's been a busy week. It's been a fun week. I'm out and about for work, so I'm experiencing some new things this week as well. So it's been a very awesome week here. I'm actually over in Ohio as we tape this episode, so I apologize if I'm lagging just a little bit or if my video is also lagging just a little bit here as well. But no, it's been a fun week as we enter our final, basically kind of points week of racing this week before we start hitting some of our invitationals here during Labor Day weekend, as a lot of tracks are going to be running, and then farther into September here as we start hitting a lot of our big shows.
Absolutely. It's a bummer that it's almost the end of August. It feels like it flew by way too fast. And we actually had quite a few cancellations, it seems like, this month. So even shorter, it seems like. Jessup, how are you doing, sir?
I'm here. This is still on. Been better, been worse.
Very good. And I see you got a few more decorations and kind of few new decals, so to speak, on there.
Yep, got a sick flame job from John Gartner Jr. I think we're gonna do a full cast flame job if I get a new cast here before they take it off. And then maybe we'll go from like flame to checkered scallops down the side. Maybe some racing stripes on the top.
You need to get a few like donut marks or something like that.
Yeah, maybe we could get someone to put like a sponsorship on it.
That'd be I don't think I've ever seen that before. That'd be interesting.
Yes, someone, if you want to sponsor the cast, we'll get a new cast put on next week and we'll put the sponsorship on it somewhere.
Anyways, Miss Becky, how are you doing since you have to deal with that every day?
Every morning it's tie my pants, tie my shoes.
It actually is a true story. It's not tie my pants. It's literally just, can you tie my shoes? And I can't get like a button on my shirt. I sit there like, Becca, help me. I feel like the turtle that's on its back.
I have tied your pants because you wear sweatpants to the racetracks, and
No, that's true.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Wait, hold on. I don't wear sweatpants to the racetrack.
Yeah, you did.
No, I don't. Those are not sweatpants.
Wind pants, whatever. Same difference.
Polycarbon fibered wind pants. Okay. Good. Hi, Oli.
Okay. And anyways, should I just start from the top?
Nope, you're good. Keep going.
That was
keep going.
great. Just
Okay.
keep going.
Just keep going.
Okay.
I want that to
Alright.
stay. For those who are on Apple Podcasts, you will not be seeing Oli walking by and then putting his butt in Becca's face. That is our orange tabby cat, who is now back on screen as we speak.
Stop it.
Who's about to put his butt right back in Becca's face.
I'm trying to distract him now.
Becca, you could do good. I mean, he likes that.
Yes, right there. Stop.
I don't abuse my animals. They love me, and I love them.
That is questionable, but not intentionally. I will give her that.
This is true.
John,
Anyways.
The animals are
Mason, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'll give Becca a little bit of a second to compose herself. It's kind of my first chill week in probably 2.5, 3 months. So I'm on top of everything, on top of all my projects, and already set to go for this upcoming weekend, which I still haven't solidified my schedule. Kind of some things have changed, and we'll see kind of where we end up for a couple of days this weekend, but looking forward to the last regular season weekend and heading into the year-end invitationals. Like John was saying, it's going to be pretty busy, but it's kind of almost like nice because most of them are like in one location, so you don't have to travel each and every single day. It's kind of nice to go one place for multiple days straight. So Becca, how are you doing?
I promise the cat is now wandering towards the living room, so no Oli sightings on this section of the podcast. But I can't believe it's the end of August already. We're going to go into championship weekend for most tracks here in the state of North Dakota in the upper Midwest. Also, randomly, National Lampoon Christmas Vacation is on TV right now. I thought that was kind of weird. But so I'm watching that while John and Jessup ramble. That'll probably come later in the podcast. So when they just don't shut up, you'll probably just see me over here watching that. But going into championship weekend, I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of the points battles across the state are really close. So I'm looking forward to see how racing results pan out and see who our track champions are. And then invitational season is here, and we are going to be road tripping out east, and I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Already starting next Thursday, that's going to happen. And so we're going to kind of preview this weekend. We might get a little bit of a teaser as to what we'll be doing the following week. But if you haven't, already, be sure to give us a like, share, and comment on the podcast. Something I forget to do every podcast at the beginning of the episode, but we always appreciate to know who's all watching and check us out. And so thank you all for supporting us, whether you're watching and or listening. And now Oli has transitioned into Jessup's screen.
Give us 5 stars if you look
5, and I will leave a comment and I will read it.
Just make
No
sure it's
one's done that
family
yet.
friendly, the review.
Yeah, be nice. Like,
Otherwise, we'll have to throw a caution on you.
yeah, and you'll be put to the tail of the field where Becca usually sniff at.
I'm not tail end.
Not this week.
But you're in the back row.
Because I had a rough podcast last episode. Hopefully it's smoother this time as we drop the green flag and get into episode 25 with Who or What Are We Repping. We will start this week with John Breckle. Who or What Are You Repping?
Ooh, so I am repping. Becca has actually repped this shirt earlier, but it's going to be one of those, who wore it better episodes. So I am repping the 913 graphics. Again, this is Andy Cap and Dustin Erickson. And I do have to give a shout out to both drivers because both of their paint schemes were on point this year. They were very, very nice looking there on the racetrack as we enter now into invitational season. And unofficially, with Jamestown canceling here this upcoming weekend, that was a tentative date on their schedule. Anyhow, it has been canceled due to the concert that's going to be happening over there at the facility on Friday, Saturday of August 25th and 26th. But Dustin Erickson is your unofficial track champion for 2023 at Jamestown. So congratulations to Dustin.
Excellent shirt. I was repping that shirt at the track on Jamestown this last Saturday, even though it cooled off pretty quick, so I had a sweatshirt over it, so didn't get to fully show it off. But hopefully, if the weather cooperates, I'll be able to show it off at the track soon. So yeah, awesome shirt. Let us know in the comments who wore it better, Becca or John. We'll transition over to Jessup and Oli. Who or what are you repping?
I am repping a tabby cat, orange fur, a little off-putting tan maybe. No, I am continuing on this summer's theme of irrelevance, as I am currently wearing the Montana, the 23rd annual Montana 200, and that's out at Kalispell, I think. And I just pulled up the winner of it, and this was back in 2000, I think 13. And your winner that night was Jonathan Gomez. They raced for what looks to be, I don't know, 3 nights. And they must have had a full field of cars, and this race is still going on as far as I am aware. So kind of a neat little shirt, looks a little different. Some cool stuff on the back. Can't turn all the way around, but
Kind of a nice transition from one of the last shirts you had, because you had a Montana Raceway Park as one of your previous shirts. That's kind of a nice little transition to that shirt.
yep. Yes, Mason. It was intentional.
I was gonna say it's like you planned it. Very
Yes.
good. Nice little trip down memory lane there. Miss Becca, who or
Yes.
what are you repping?
This week I am repping Scotty Gardner. And this is before the chicken nuggy buggy. This is some of his older apparel from probably 5 or 6 years ago, I'd say. But I'm wearing a Scotty Gardner hoodie. So yeah, I think Jessup has worn this before on the podcast. So this
Vote
is
for
another.
me.
So this is another. Who wore it better, Jessup or me? And you can easily vote for me. I think Mason's also worn this as well, but in t-shirt form. So
I've worn a t-shirt for him because that was the episode where I panicked and forgot a shirt on my way out of state and stopped at Scotty Gardner's place and he got me a shirt.
that was season 1 though. So this is season 2, and I'm wearing the hoodie version of that. And yeah, so I did wear the chicken nuggy buggy Scotty Gardner hoodie back in season 1. So this is a completely different look for me still. Regardless of whatever John has to say, he is wrong. So Scott's had on a positive note, Scotty Gardner's had a really great season this year. He's raced 22 times across the state, or Midwest, I should say. He's expanded. He's got 3 wins, most recently last Saturday over at the Jamestown Speedway.
Becca, you're doing spoilers.
Sorry. Anyways, and then he's got 6 top 5s and 11 top 10s. It's all right. He won last weekend, and I can wear his stuff.
This is why we can't have nice things, Mason.
Either way, it's a good representation of Scotty Gardner. Cool,
Mhm.
cool hoodie. So, who or what I'm repping? Obviously, it's a big week, so I gotta rep the Sean Holland Shield hat again because we'll preview that in a little bit. But little trivia, it's not necessarily a history trivia, but the shirt I'm repping is a new shirt that I got this year. See if anyone of you can guess it. It is a current points leader, a national points leader in
Bobby
Minnesota.
Pierce. Nope. So,
It's currently leading one of the
Jessup,
divisions
you get
in
a
national
caution
points.
flag on that one since it wasn't even a Wasota driver.
Well, I said Bobby Pierce before he said Wasota. So
I was saying,
Yeah,
he
see,
interrupted me,
you-
so I'll let him get away with
All
that.
right.
Well, no, Mason. I think he deserves caution flag on this one because he did not wait for the professor to ask the actual full question. He just decided to speak out of turn.
You know,
I
that's a
don't-
good point, considering Jessup himself is a teacher.
And he just started school.
And with that, I'm giving you guys all cautions. If there's anyone outside of me to be a professor, wouldn't it be John with his big brain of knowledge, not Mason?
Yeah, but Mason was presented the
Ha-ha!
question, Jessup.
Yeah, well,
The
that's like
questions
having a
get
kindergartner
presented.
give the presentation to the 12th grade.
Anyways,
Mason,
back
he
to my-
called you a kindergartner.
Wow, that's definitely you're getting set to the back for that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Back to the trivia. This driver that I'm repping currently is leading their division in Minnesota national points.
Tucker Peterson.
No.
Not
Braden
Tucker
Brower.
Peterson. Who'd you say, Becca?
Braden Brower.
Nope. So I'll give
Damn.
you another hint. It's the same number as my hat.
Mike Gresseth?
Zach Benson.
There you go. The 17B of Zach Benson from Princeton, Minnesota. He always has some sharp looking cars and had to grab one of his new shirts. And so he's leading points by a very wide margin with 18 wins, 33 top fives, and 39 top tens out of 47 events this year. He's pretty much in the driver's seat for the Minnesota National Points title in the Midwest Modifieds. And so he's been kind of knocking on the door of national title contention, and it looks like this might be his year, and he's going to probably be putting together some more good runs at the year-end invitational races, so it's going to be hard for anyone to catch him. So repping the 17B of Zach Benson for episode 25 this week. So that is who or what we are repping, and we're going to go into our track packer report. With the way the weather's kind of gone over the last couple of weeks, it's kind of limited a lot of the racing opportunities. And plus, I was on vacation, so I missed a couple of nights anyways. So we're going to kind of go back to before I left on vacation. All four of us were actually at the same track on August 11th. Of course, the Dacotah Speedway, which is kind of crazy because we didn't document it. Again, that's my fault. I don't know how I forgot to do that. But anyways, who wants to kind of kick things off from their little what they remember on August 11th?
It was a pretty wild night.
Kind of was. I do remember
It
there
was.
was quite a
There
bit
was
of
a-
carnage.
There was a rollover, a fire, someone lost a tire. It was crazy.
Jess, if you are muted right now.
Yeah, I don't know how you got muted either. He's
I
still
don't like
muted.
any. I don't like
Oh.
any of you. You guys mute me
I-
without even doing this. This is a.
None of us even muted you.
I'm.
That's the
I'm
funny
very
part.
upset. I'm very upset. This program is rigged.
Maybe it was the podcasting gods anticipating some
This is true.
misinformation
BS from
coming.
him.
So, anyways, that was a fun night of racing. I can't recall all of it. Besides, some cars flipped. There was John. You got to yell carnage. There's a fireball. I believe there was a pretty good race.
I
Yeah.
heard there was a fight in going into corner one that the
I-
wrecker trucks had to
Yes.
separate them, but I did not see this.
John,
Right here.
we could have had the classic NASCAR call. Then there's a fight on the front stretch.
Yes, we
What I
could have,
hear.
and I didn't even realize it because it was blocked by the trucks.
Yeah, it was a pretty entertaining night of racing. I mean, the racing was really good in all classes, as far as I remember. And I was kind of roaming around the first half of the night in the infield and upper pits, and then kind of ventured over to the stands for the feature racing event. But Becca, do you want to cover results for August 11th?
Yeah, sure. Starting with our sport compacts, there was some contact, as John would probably say in a very excited voice, going into corners 1 and 2, which allowed our track points leader, Chris Yost, to just slip on by. He pulled away and won. Gosh, I should go back and look, but it's victory number like a million at Dacotah Speedway. He's had a heck of a season out there. And he is the North Dakota IMCA Sport Compact track points leader right now. So he's had a great season everywhere he goes. So it's he picked up yet another win at Dacotah Speedway in the IMCA Sport Compacts. Dylan Sandberg, who started racing early in the season, his car was deemed not legal, so he took a break, came back out with the car he used to race numerous years ago. Old car, pulled it out of the weeds, and came out and won his first time back. It was very impressive to watch him just pull away after restart. So Dylan Sandberg was your winner in the hobby stock division. In the IM Next Legends, it was Preston Martin. He just nailed the setup. No one could really touch him in that particular feature race. He had to hold off Donovan Weiss for the win, but that was his fourth win. Excuse me. No, that was not his fourth win, but another win for him at Dacotah Speedway. Because I know if I say a specific number, John's probably going to yellow flag me, but that was not his fourth win, because the fourth win in a row came for Hunter Damagala in the Wissota Street Stocks. He just pulled away from the field once again. He's really just got that track figured out, and just has the setup practically dialed in each and every week. He's very difficult to beat at Dacotah Speedway. And so he won his fourth win in a row. And then a first-time winner at Dacotah Speedway, Caden Roberts, started on the pole. He also just nailed the setup because he checked out. And your typical fast hitters, Marlon Seiler, Mark Dahl, Sean Strand, Spencer Wilson, they just could not catch him at all. And Caden Roberts led all 25 laps to win his very first IMCA modified feature victory, as well as his first time at Dacotah Speedway. And if it wasn't for people like Jessup, there was like, oh yeah, you have to go to Tech. He's like, I don't know where Tech is. He hasn't won at Dacotah Speedway before. He wouldn't know, right? So thankfully, people like Jessup was like, congratulations. Don't forget to go to Tech. And he went to Tech and got to keep that win. So those were the feature winners at Dacotah Speedway back on August 11th, which is nearly 2 weeks ago. So congratulations to all those guys.
Yeah, that was a nice way to end the night with a first time winner. It was a caution free race. So yeah, he checked out, and like, even when, like you said, the fast hitters kind of came through the field, they weren't catching him at all. Like
No.
it would have taken a caution, and then I still think he would have been really tough to beat from there. He was really working good out there. So
Agreed. We did mention that there was some craziness throughout the night. In the Wissota Street Stocks, there was a rollover when contact was made going into corner number 1. Barrett Berg basically got into Sean Volk, which got him all sorts of squirrely. He tried to save it, almost did save it, but then came in Kelly Hoggle and then John Feist. And when that contact was made between those three drivers, it sent the 44 Barrett Berg rolling into corner number 1. Soft roll. He was okay. All drivers were okay, but we haven't seen Kelly Hoggle back at the track since that incident on August 11th. John started moving and I got scared. So I was like, oh,
Nope,
no.
keep going.
Anyway, there was a loose wheel, I believe. Gosh, who was it?
In the Legends, it was Maverick Nelson.
Thank you, John. There was a loose wheel going into corner number 1, which then caused a pile up going into corner 1. Corner 1 was Calamity Corner on August 11th.
You know, have you ever heard the song, Kenny Rogers song? You picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel.
oh gosh, Darryl Waltrip.
There was also a huge points shakeup in the modifieds as well when your points leader got charged. Wait.
No,
I'm
he
mixing
just
up
pulled
my weeks.
off.
Jeremy Keller. I mixed up my weeks. Apologies. I'm getting ahead of myself. But Jeremy Keller, who was only, was he 1 point behind points leader Marlon Seiler? He just messed the setup, and he ended up pulling off with about, I'd say, 8 laps to go. It was pretty late in the race, and he had a DNF on August 11th, which really shook up the points, which allowed Marlon Sadler to take the points lead and Mark Dahl take second, and then Jeremy Keller, who was really close in the points, fell to third, and I think he went into last Friday's races on August 18th, 15 points behind the points leader. So it was quite the point shakeup after the races at Dacotah Speedway.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff happened on that Friday the 11th, and there was still a race that happened in between that. We'll get to that in just a couple minutes. I ventured away from the western side of the state and headed over to Alexandria for the Moonshine Mod Tour, one of the couple nights they got in on the weekend, and I was very pleased with the car count. They had over 20, I think they had 25 or 26 cars, I've got to check, but really good quality field of cars there. Track was really, really good. There was a little bit of character in a couple of turns, but nothing too major. There's a lot of attrition, and not because of wrecks, just kind of like weird mechanical stuff. Like I noticed, especially in the super stocks and the short trackers, cars would either like be overheating, they'd be smoking, and all of a sudden, like I think we had a drive shaft or two that fell off, and it's like, wow, what the heck is going on? It's like I want to say like 14 cars were in like the short trackers, and like half of them didn't finish, and there was no cautions in the race. It was just like one's gone, just like they were dropping like flies, but nothing to do with wrecks. Just kind of one of those nights where just mechanical gremlins were kind of wreaking havoc across the board. But getting into the results, they ran their same 5 classes they typically run. Wissota Midwest Mods went to the 42 TB of Tanner Bitson. The Wissota Street Stocks went to the Wolverine Justin Vogel in the number 10. Short Trackers went to the 22 of Matthew Dittman. Super Stocks to the 13M of Matt Miller. And then the Wissota Modifieds, the Moonshine Mod Tour, it's a caution-free race. Dusty Bitson, who confused the heck out of me because he was racing his older car, because his new car has not been up to snuff, and so brought the old car out to see how he was doing it, and he checked out on the field and got, I think it was like a 5-6 second lead at one point, and went on to win that A main. And I believe it was Brady Gers that moved through the field for second, and Zach Johnson rounded out the podium, which resulted them becoming tied in points. Now they were supposed to race at Granite City Motor Park the following race night, but that got rained out. So with the tie, them tied and not a race to be had. More on that in just a little while. So that was Saturday, August 12th at Viking Speedway. Jamestown, I believe, raced on the 12th. Did all three of you go over to Jamestown on the 12th?
Yes.
Yes. I had to think about that for a while.
And Becca and Jessup, I'll let you guys talk about comments first, because I'll do like results and recap.
The Gravedigger put on a heck of a freestyle. It was a full Gravedigger show. Perfect 30 as the Gravedigger legend flipped down the front stretch in true Gravedigger form.
So what Jessup is not telling all of our listeners and viewers is we had some special guests come racing throughout Minnesota and North Dakota the past 2 weekends or so. It was the Joe Ryan Racing team, let's call it that, right? Basically a bunch of youngsters and some young adults from all over the US, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, I think New York was one of them. They all came to North Dakota, Minnesota because we race so frequently with the INX Legends. You could race literally 4 or 5 nights any given weekend, right? So they started over at Ada in Norman County, which that rained out, unfortunately, but I heard Nate Mason was there, so maybe that's why. Sure, whatever. You were nearby.
That is a caution on you, because that was the weekend that you came over to Fargo and I chauffeured your two happy butts to a concert in West Fargo.
Yep.
Caution
Thank
on you.
Yep.
And guess what
Mason.
happened that night, John?
It rained out.
No, it didn't rain out, but the concert went on. The races did not.
Well, yeah, but the
Yes.
races rained out, not the concert, but the races
I am
rained out.
remembering things. Yes, we went to Fargo to go see a concert, and Mason almost went to Ada, but was no, I'm going to stay home and catch up on projects. Thank you for that reminder, Mason. But Ada rained out, so then they went to Fargo, and then night 3 of their little racing tour was in Jamestown. So you had Keelan Harvick, Ty Johnson, which happens to be the youngest licensed INEX legend driver in all of INEX racing. He was there, and a whole bunch of just youngsters and young adults coming to race in North Dakota. So they were there, and one of them had a paint scheme that looked like the Gravedigger, and unfortunately for her, she flipped going down the front stretch at Jamestown. Thankfully, she was okay, but Parton, I think, was her last name. Steve, her husband, won in Fargo the night before. Steve Parton.
Yes, her name is Lauren.
Thank you. Yeah, she rolled in Jamestown. So we had some extra special guests. I believe on Sunday they raced in Glendon, and then the plan for them was to race Cheyenne. The original plan was to race Dacotah Speedway on Friday, the 18th, then Jamestown, and then Dacotah Speedway to finish out the weekend. But rain kind of played, and some carnage played a factor in their racing schedule, and they didn't get to go to all those tracks as planned. But it was really cool to see Keelan Harvick come race at Jamestown, North Dakota, of all places. He really is pretty talented behind the wheel, and he did pretty darn well up until the end of that INEX Legend feature. But it was really cool to see those youngsters race. They did really well their first time at the Jamestown Speedway. And I talked to Joe Ryan and Billy Workman Jr. and Glenn Mitchell, who basically were the catalysts for bringing all those youngsters up to North Dakota. And most of those kids, this was only their 3rd or 4th time racing on dirt. So they did pretty darn well for what limited racing experience they have on dirt tracks.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed that I was missing out on seeing all these drivers race. And thankfully I got to see them a little bit this last weekend racing wise. And yeah, that's awesome that they kind of made a little bit of a summer home for a couple weeks up here in the state of North Dakota in Minnesota. Jessup, did you have any additional takeaways before I give the floor to John?
Nope.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, no. So I think Becca covered it really well along with Jessup. The night was pretty wild. We had 119 cars total. And I think one of the reasons for that too was we're off for a couple weeks because Governor's Cup happened. Governor's Cup had a great car count, a lot of great racing at Governor's Cup, and then the next week rained out. So it was a couple weeks off. So drivers were antsy to come back and run the track. And a lot of them, I talked to some drivers at the end of the night too. It was kind of their test session before they come back for the Stampede in September. So that was what a couple of the drivers were doing because we saw a lot of travelers on that night to try to get ready for it. Track was in really good shape. There was a lot of 3-wide racing, several times with 4-wide racing. The streets even went 5-wide at one point. So it was a really good night track condition wise. Overall, we had 32 legends. We'll start with the legends here, and that was a really good race between Glenn Mitchell, Ryan Erdahl, Preston Martin, and both Cody Mackhart and Evan Hendrickson. So go ahead, Becca.
I think it's important to note that they started all 32 legends in the feature as well. And despite having the increased car count for the legend feature, they only had 2, maybe 3 cautions.
They had 2 cautions and 1 red flag for that wreck
Okay.
on the front straightaway. But I mean, that was it. So they had a really good night overall, even having 32 cars in there. They ran the first 10 laps of that feature green. So it was really good to run there for your legend drivers. But yeah, congratulations to Glenn. He held off Ryan Erdahl in the last couple of laps as Ryan ducked low coming out of turn 4 in the white flag, and Glenn beat him back around through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 to pick up the win. I'm gonna go back in your Bombers. Your Bombers had 20 cars that night, and Chris Rangeloff picked up his 2nd win in Jamestown. So congratulations to him. He held off a hard charging Travis Ettinger and picked up that win in Jamestown. And kind of the same point when he won last year, because he won on season championship last year, and kind of a catapult into the year-end specials. In your Midwest Modifieds, a really good battle. Zach Ranke picked up his 2nd ever win in Jamestown. He beat Lucas Rodin. Zach was running the bottom. Rodin was running behind him. And then Rodin went to the high side, tracked Zach down, just could never get quite beside him until he threw it into the bottom of turns 3 and 4 on the final lap, and they drag raced to the line, and Zach won. So congratulations to Zach on a really nice win in the Midwest Mods. Your street stocks, they had 16 total cars. They went green to checkered. Had a really good race overall, a lot of movement in the feature. Jeff Hellman ended up winning. Dustin Erickson, who I'm sporting his shirt right here, he had a really spirited battle with Billy Christ. Billy started 16th in the field, worked his way up to the top two. Those two drivers were battling hard. Billy actually almost spun out through turns 3 and 4. Dustin actually caught his car and straightened it out, and they stayed green. And Billy came back to finish 4th. Trent Greger, who was running Roy Ops, WISSOTA Street Stock, was 3rd. So it was nice to see Trent back in the WISSOTA Street Stock reigns as well. And within your modifieds had 24 cars, so a really nice field of cars in your modifieds, a lot of travelers. And Colin Hibden picked up a win, his first one in a couple of months. So congratulations to Colin. He held off Lucas Rodin, Sean Strand, Quentin Kinsley, and Jordan Sowers. Tough break for Jordan. Jordan went into turns 3 and 4 way too hard on the final lap, got a little bit too high, and blew it off the high side running 3rd. So he ended up back there in around the 20th position for the final rundown. But a really good runs again, a lot of movement throughout the field as Sean Strand moved up 8 spots, Quentin Kinsley started 12th and moved up to 4th, and John Nord rounded out your top 5. And then in your slingshots were a pretty good race, and your feature winner was AJ Matsky. He's been on a tear in the slingshot division for Jamestown as a whole. Within the Jamestown slingshots and cars total, one thing about the slingshots before I move forward here and before we go through more results is they have been getting updated payouts for the Stampede. And I have been hearing a lot of rumblings about some really big purses for the slingshots. So drivers that have slingshots, kids that are in the slingshots or slingshot drivers as a whole from the Williston area, Dickinson area, and Estevan area, keep an eye on Jamestown's Facebook page. They're going to be doing announcements related to the slingshots payouts because as of right now, when we're taping the podcast, they have for sure had about $500 raised for the purse as a whole. And there's talks about even having a lot more money into that purse as well being donated. So that slingshot payout might be really nice during the Stock Car Stampede.
And for listeners and viewers who don't have slingshots at their track, most tracks that do run them typically don't have they race for free or they race for a trophy.
Yep.
So this is a huge payout already for the slingshots for the Stock Car Stampede. So Williston, Estevan, even Nodak and Southwest, they typically run slingshots as well. So if there's any of our listeners, viewers who are watching or listening, definitely want to tune in for those payouts coming out shortly.
Yeah, because we've got somebody that's willing to actually put in quite a bit of money to the slingshot purse as well to get the car count up and get a lot of the youngsters out there to support that event and make it just a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, that's an awesome recap for August 12th over at Jamestown Speedway just a couple weeks back. Kind of moving back into more of the races that took place this last weekend, because what Mother Nature did a clean sweep as far as I remember on the 13th. Like, I don't think there was any racing outside of like Proctor. I think that was the only track that was able to run because, yeah, we had a nice band of rain that kind of circled the Midwest. And so, but I was heading off on vacation for the most part anyway. So I got back Friday into Minneapolis at 5 o'clock, and I was going to try to hightail it up to Fergus Falls to see if I could catch the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour and also the rescheduled Fallen Lyman race for the WISSOTA Modified. So it was a pretty big night over at I-94. They had 37 Midwest Modifieds there, so a very good car count there. And I think they had 30 WISSOTA Modifieds. So very good car count in both of those classes that were featured for the most part. The track was really fast, really tacky. I mean, it didn't really lose any speed hardly at all until like the very last race, which is a makeup feature for the mods. And they were done before 11 o'clock. That's kind of one of those things that you typically don't see at I-94. Typically, like, they get a lot of cars, they have a lot of stuff going on. So it's usually like a later night, but being done before 11 was kind of a nice little treat for the fans and drivers at I-94. So going through the results real quick, because I made it literally just before the first A main went onto the track. Braden Brower, your current national points leader in the WISSOTA Street Stocks, got to the front and got the win there. The Rebel Midwest Mod Tour went to the 28 of Brendan Waite, who has actually been really turning it up over the last few weeks with some pretty big wins. And so that's not a track that he typically does the best at, but looked pretty good, got to the front pretty quickly and held off a couple of other North Dakotans, Reese Stenberg and Lucas Rodin for the win there. The Fallen Lyman race, they were racing, I believe it was either $2,000 or $3,000 to win. They kind of do that in conjunction with Viking Speedway. They also have a Fallen Lyman race. And Brady Gers, who started 13th, got to the front. They only had one caution like at lap 2 and then used 28 green flag laps to kind of move through the field and catch the leaders. Brock Ronald, I believe, was leading that majority of that race, and Curtis got around him on the bottom and pulled away for another big win for the 2X. And so congratulations to Brady Curtis on getting the Fallen Lyman race. The Gen X late models went to Andrew Tisdall. That was his first career win, and he had a lot of fans in the stands, and he was jacked in Victory Lane. Like, that was one of the more excited Victory Lane celebrations that I've seen in quite a while, and he was so pumped up. I know it's been a long time coming for him, so big congrats out to Andrew Tisdall on getting his first career win. The short trackers went to Sean Beto in a near photo finish with Matthew Dittman in the 22, and they ran the mod makeup feature afterwards, which also went to Brady Kerr, so he doubled up on the night on August 18th over at I-94. Meanwhile, the Bismarck gang was busy over in Mandan, which was their Drive to Survive night, which is always a very popular night with the drivers, fans, a lot of activities going on. Jessup, kind of give us a insight into your vantage point of that night, or what do you want to share?
Well, Mason, I will say there's a lot of good stuff happening at the track, but truly, it seems like every year that night truly is a Drive to Survive, because there is mass chaos, pandemonium, panic, everything that you can just describe as chaos is happening, and pandemonium and all that wonderful, just beautiful, not normal night stuff. And there was cars flipping, people were flipping each other off. It was awesome.
I
And
heard
there
there
was
was
Car count was good.
The car count was great. There was a great
106, I think, was total.
Yep.
what I was going to say. I heard there was some carnage even in the high heel race.
Oh,
Yes.
there
There was
kids were
bloodshed and
and
tears.
in the words of Becca, as a little kid fell over, and Becca was describing, they are down. There could be bloodshed. There could
Yes.
be injury. There could be wounds.
There might have.
Yes.
And then she
Yes.
giddily ran away in her Reba walk. I need a snack.
Well, that was Jessup's little recap of Drive to Survive night. John, how did Drive to Survive night go for you?
You know what's funny, Mason? I actually had a really good time during Drive to Survive night. Becca and Jessup are key witnesses of that, including Will. It's a fun night overall because we raise a lot of money for a great cause. We do a lot of special events. We had order and other things lined up before the night even started. The meet and greet went over really well with drivers. We had 28 cars, the most we've ever had into the current era right now, with over there, and was in front of the grandstand. So a great time for people to go down there and just visit with the drivers and see the cars. I also love how everybody kind of dresses their cars up in pink, put some type of pink, whether it's some pink fluorescent items on their car paint scheme. So it looks like always a really good night with really good participation. And overall, for the night as a whole, racing action was really exciting. And like the guy said, it was one of those nights to where we definitely saw high car counts, but you can tell it's getting towards the end of the season because there was some beating and banging, and some points races have become very close because of it.
Interesting.
For
Yeah, it's
sure.
that time of year where tempers are a little bit shorter and stakes get a little bit higher, and yeah, points racing comes into play. So, Becca, give us the results.
It never fails because Drive to Survive has chaos, and it's usually in the form of like totaled race cars, rollovers, and that just is because, like as John mentioned, it's just the end of the year. I think people are a little bit burnt out just because it's been a long season and points battles are tight, and every point and every position just comes down. It matters, and so this Drive to Survive was no different. There was a lot of craziness going on. So starting with our IMCA Sport Compact feature, it was the first feature of the night. It was straight up wild. We had
It is the best feature of the night.
Especially
eight-
when you guys watch the replay, it's great.
It's on Dacotah Speedway TV for a short highlight video if you would like to watch it. But we had 8 IMCA Sport Compacts, our highest car count for that division so far this year. We would love to see all 8 of those and more come visit us, because they put on a heck of a show. It was a fan favorite last Friday, and I heard all about it in the pits, and it was just fantastic. Wild race all around. There were cars spinning out, but kept going. There were cars halfway sideways, kept going. But it was Alex Thompson who kept his nose clean and green, led all 10 laps to win his third feature victory at the Dacotah Speedway. And I didn't realize, I heard about this in Nodak, but this was the first time I saw it in Mandan. He did a backflip off the car like Carl Edwards used to do back in NASCAR. It was cool to see him do that in Mandan at his home track. Moving on to the hobby stock division. It was Dylan Sandberg who went back to back in that racing division. He had that race car he has is super fast. Devin Hansen and Josh Rorick and those guys behind him, they tried their best, but that race car that Dylan Sandberg has is so fast. And he went back to back, his second victory of the season since he's returned in the hobby stock division. In the INX Legends, after a couple of weeks of just some bad luck at the Dacotah Speedway, it was Donovan Weist who held off Preston Martin to go back to victory lane. A good feel-good victory for him in that racing camp in the INX Legends. In the Wissota Street Stocks, it was Hunter Damagala. If you watch the highlight video on the Dacotah Speedway TV Facebook page, it's really fun to watch Hunter come through the field. He does it really quick, and by lap 3, he's in the lead. Pulled away early, but cautions allowed some people to make some late race charges, and one of them was Chris Welk Jr., who's only in his second season in the Wissota Street Stocks, and he closed the gap on Hunter Damagala. Unfortunately for Chris Welk Jr., ran out of time. And then in the IMCA to recap, Hunter Damagala went to victory lane in the Wissota Street Stocks. That was his 5th victory in a row at the Dacotah Speedway. And then in the final feature victory of the night, it was the IMCA Modifieds. Jeremy Keller, it was a really good battle for the lead early in the race. Scotty Gardner started on the pole, led early. Chris Pittenger was also near the front. He passed a few cars to reel in Scotty Gardner and battle for the lead. He led a lap before Jeremy Keller was there to make it a 3-car battle. And those guys raced 3 wide for the lead before Jeremy Keller in a brand new race car, because he as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, he had some bad luck back on August 11th, pulled the car off the track, brought out a brand new race car for August 18th, which was last Friday's races. And that car was super fast off the trailer. And he passed both Scotty Gardner and Chris Pittenger and led the, I'd say, oh gosh, what lap was it when he took the lead? It was fairly early, so he pulled away, survived some late race restarts, and picked up his another victory for him at the Dacotah Speedway this year. Fast car off the bat, new car for him. So that was another feel-good win for him after some rough weeks for him at the Dacotah Speedway. Interesting note in the IMCA Modified feature, our points leader going into the evening, Marlon Sadler. There was some chaos going into corner number 1. I guess corner number 1 is just calamity corner these past few weeks at the Dacotah Speedway. But Mark Dahl, who is currently second in the points, got into Quentin Kinsley on the front stretch, and that contact resulted in Quentin Kinsley getting up in front of Marlon Sadler. Sadler put the brakes on, and I think when he stomped on the brakes, it got him loose, or it just turned his car sideways to try to avoid additional contact that he already made with Quentin Kinsley. And he ended up spinning out in corner 1. Corner officials, track officials, they charged the caution to Marlon Sadler, sent him to the back of the pack. He has a very fast car, so he did charge through the field in the final 8 laps of that feature. But shook up the points going into championship night. That gave Mark Dahl, who finished, hang on, John, come through with me.
Oh, Becca, I'm going to give you the chance. Go ahead.
I think he
You'll get it.
finished, hang on, third or fourth. It was enough to finish, or it was enough to take the points lead over. He's got a 2-point lead over second place Marlon Sadler. Jeremy Keller, who ended up in victory lane, he finished fourth. Yeah, it's a third or fourth. 4-point lead. Hang on.
No, he finished fourth.
He finished fourth. He's got a 2-point lead going into championship night over second place Marlon Sadler and Jeremy Keller, who picked up the victory on August 18th at the Dacotah Speedway. He is now only 10 points back, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Marlon is 7
place.
back and Jeremy's 10.
Thank you, John. So I made the points graphic earlier for the drivers only page, and I already forgot, but my bad. But the points are fairly close, and I think it'll be a super interesting points battle going into championship night this Friday, August 25th at the Dakota Speedway. So great night of racing, though.
Yeah, it's kind of what you want to have, honestly, heading into the year and stuff. Kind of get people excited to get back to the track and kind of taking those last couple of nights at the track, because you never know what the weather's going to do once it hits September and all the year end stuff, and it gets a little bit chillier. And yeah, so good thing that the racing action is heating up, so to speak, in Dakota Speedway. So moving to Saturday, I know John obviously was at the Jamestown Speedway. I made it over late. Was at a wedding for a couple of good friends, and also Becca and Jessica were there, and I kind of snuck out there to try to get as much of the feature racing action as I can. It was also their kind of Drive to Survive night, but Driven to Care, I believe, is what they call it over at Jamestown. So they also did a bunch of stuff to kind of raise awareness for the breast cancer and the cancer foundations over there, including, I believe, their first high heel race, John, right?
Yeah, so they had Driven to Care night with the Jamestown Regional Medical Center. They did the 50-50 split pot jackpot raffle. They did the Driven to Care high heel race. They raised over, it was, I think, Mason, right around $1,250, like $1,250 somewhere in that range for the program. So they did a really good job overall for the night as a whole. And then it was a big night for the Wissota Midwest Modified drivers because it was the 5th annual Jeff Carpenter Memorial Race. Thank you to the Carpenter family, Tony Smith, Randy Klein, a lot of sponsors, a lot of supporters. They raised over $11,000 for the purse during the night. And then also it was the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour finale over in Jamestown that night. So thank you to Scott Binns, Shocker Hitch, and much more directly within sponsorships as part of the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour. They had 31 Midwest Modified drivers sign up for the night. A lot of really heavy contenders within the field, and Mason got there right when the Midwest Modified feature was basically within like the first 5 laps of the event, is when he showed up within Jamestown. And it was a great battle up front with the Midwest Modified feature because you had Lucas Rodin coming from deeper in the field. He redrew a 7 as part of the redraw. Brendan Waite was leading up front. They had a caution with right around 10 laps to go, and it put Lucas on the bottom because he was 3rd for the restart, and it put Waite on the high side. Jaron Wimstead was in 2nd, Lucas was in 3rd, and then behind them you had Justin Jones as well as Jared Klein battling for positions. And that restart was very interesting because Brennan was running the high side and Lucas was able to work the middle, and Lucas got around Brennan coming out of turn 2. Brennan would get back around him in turn 4, and they would battle like that for about 3 to 4 laps side by side to try to see who was going to take that lead, with Brennan picking up back-to-back wins. So congratulations to Brennan. That night, Lucas finished 2nd, Justin Jones finished 3rd, and congratulations to Justin Jones because he won the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour points. So congratulations to Justin Jones on that one too, in the 69 out of Bemidji. In the Bomber division, so 110 cars total for the night. Bomber division, that was a really good battle up front. You had a lot of cautions, but you had Eric Bush leading for, or trying to pick up the lead for majority of that feature race. But Dylan Steele, back in a Bomber, your 2020 champion, your 2021 champion, he led for majority of that feature before his car actually started losing power on a restart, and Eric Bush was able to get side by side with him. Well, Eric took the lead in turn 2 with 2 laps to go and lost it all by himself in front of the field, as Dylan was right behind him on his rear bumper, and Jaden Michelson was coming down low. Jaden Michelson caught his car as it spun sideways, corrected it, and they were 3 wide down the back straightaway with Jaden to the bottom, Eric in the middle, and Dylan on the high side. When they took the white flag, they were still side by side through turns 1 and 2. And then in 3 and 4, Eric Bush lost the car, spun out in front of the field. Jaden beat Dylan to the line and picked up another feature win. So congratulations to Jaden Michelson on a very, very strong feature performance. I believe that was his 15 hobby stock win or bomber win of the season. And I want to say it was like win 75 overall. So congratulations to Jaden in a 95 machine. He's had a really good season here. It looks like for points in Jamestown, he's going to be runner up this year by only 5 points to Travis Ettinger, as Jamestown canceled obviously their upcoming race here that was tentative on the 26th of August. Now, Legends, Mason watched the race for the Legends. Really good battle up front between Colin Thompson and Preston Martin. Those two drivers put on a show. They got to a lap car right when they hit the white flag. Went into turns 1 and 2. Preston threw a Hailmaker to the bottom and slid up the track, and Colin got right back around him on the high side out of turn 2, and then a caution came out for a wreck on the back straightaway, and Colin picked up another win. Colin's had a heck of a season, and he is going to be a threat coming into invitational season for a lot of these big races. So keep an eye on Colin, keep an eye on Preston. Some really good runs up there, as well with some of the drivers from North Carolina again, because there was 29 Legends over there on Saturday night. And Chase Van Houten finished top 5 in that 9 machine. And Keelan Harvick, who started deep in the field, moved up 13 spots to finish in the top 10. So really good run by Keelan, as well as Kai Johnson was also right up there as well in the 7 machine. And the street stocks went clean and green for the 20 laps. Track was taking rubber right after the Legend feature event. It was starting to get faster and faster, and the streets went clean and green. It was Casey Eustatus, who started second on the field, picked up his second win in Jamestown out of 3 nights being in Jamestown this year. So Casey's had a pretty good record in Jamestown so far this year, and he's also a driver that I'm going to be watching into invitational season because he's just looked really good over in Jamestown, and we'll see. He's had some strong runs in the Stock Car Stampede before, but we'll see if he can get that monkey off his back for the Stock Car Stampede. So congratulations to Casey. Modifieds, they had a really bad wreck on the front straightaway the first lap. Took out, Mason, what they had like 6 to 8 cars that piled up.
Yeah, it was like
over there.
It was over half the field, it seemed like.
It would start in the front of the field. It was completely a racing deal. They basically piled up over there. Tough break for John Nord, your points leader. His car was wrecked. He had a lot of damage on his 98 machine. Everybody else was able to continue. It did take out some of the top contenders for the feature win though as well, because Sean Strand was involved with it. Had a little bit of damage, but had more tire damage than anything. He had a fender that went into a tire, so it sounded like he was cutting down a tire. Same thing with Colin Hibden. Colin also had a fender that got put into his right rear tire and also had a tire going down as well. So they pulled off during that feature event. But Scotty Gardner, he had the ice cream machine fixed in the 0 machine. So ice cream for shakes and cones and everything else was available again. And he drove past Jacoby Trout and picked up the feature win with second place runner Jordan Sowers. Jordan actually started back deep in the field and finished second. So Jordan started, I want to say it was 10th and finished second. So really good run by Jordan. And then in your slingshots was a really good race. So I typically kind of take a break during the slingshots once from announcing. I usually let Becca do it. I usually can just sit back and relax and watch. But this time I announced it, and it was a great battle up front between Jacob Campbell in the 99. He started to look really good in his slingshot as well. You also had Reed Ketterling, who led the majority of that race. Jackson Caro, who looked really strong in the heat race, but broke. He actually broke while almost leading that feature event. And then you had AJ Matsky. He's been on a tear lately, slowly but surely working his way to the front, and he passed Reed on the white flag lap. They battled through turns 1 and 2 because they were almost 3 wide with Jacob Campbell. And it was funny because they had a lap car and they tried to go around that lap car going into 1 and 2. Well, they ended up running the high line through 1 and 2, like the actual high side of the speedway in 1 and 2. And I'm like, oh, the slingshots are never up, usually right there on the high side. So that was very interesting to watch with their feature event. But congratulations to AJ again on a nice feature win over in Jamestown.
Yep, and it was nice to kind of get some feature action over in Jamestown. Yeah, I was hightailing it over and trying to make as much as I could. So glad I
And
was able to get some of it in.
look at Becca having her caution flag over here because, I know exactly where this is going to. Because on Friday night during the mod feature in Mandan, there has been a lot of people on Facebook and other avenues that have mentioned about comments that the announcer made based on Scotty Gardner. Funny story on this whole thing. A lot of people think that was me that made that comment. That wasn't me that made that comment directly. It was actually Jessup. Jessup actually made the comment about the ice cream machine. I made the comment about chicken nuggets, but Jessup made the comment about the ice cream machine. So it was pretty funny on how this all has come around.
I'm only throwing the caution because Jessup gave John a good one-liner because Scotty, I think he spun out in the IMCA modified feature and then he got charged for another caution when he jumped. And so the line was, "Oh no, John, it looks like the ice cream machine is broken again." Or not again, but like the ice cream machine is broken here tonight. And John goes, "Yeah, Jessup, looks like there's gonna be no chicken nugget buggies or no chicken nuggets for Scotty tonight." And I'm just like, "Oh no, John missed the joke." That wasn't the point of that line.
Caught the joke. I caught the joke because the ice cream machine is always broke at McDonald's, no matter what time you go.
Yes.
On that one too, but yeah, I had to start laughing on that one too, but yes. So then that comment got brought up in Victory Lane on Saturday, and it was hilarious because then the comment rolled onto Facebook as well. So yes, so this has been a rolling joke, which it's been a nice plug way to McDonald's, who is one of Scotty's sponsors.
Mason, you can play the clip. It's great, but Scott or John totally missed the joke there, or so I felt. I was like, that's really weird to say.
John, it appears the ice cream machine in the chicken nugget buggy camp is not working tonight.
No, he did not get his chicken nuggets here tonight.
That's one of those where John probably just didn't acknowledge it and just like, we're just moving on.
I think so.
Mason also had a very good one-liner in Jamestown on Saturday, which we also just moved on from.
It was a great one.
Would you like to tell us, Mason?
So people know if you're IMCA modified fans around the state of North Dakota, Chris Tukshire, nickname is Crowbar because he used to do some professional wrestling of sorts. And so his nickname...
That would be MMA.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jessup's more of an expert on this stuff. Doesn't have to deal with racing. Not acknowledging that caution.
What do you mean?
Crowbar
hold on. Does he not race, Mason?
He does.
Well, then you're going to the back of the pack. That is a part. It has to do with racing. So, John, put him to the back, please.
I will pull out my caution flag on this one too. Here you go, Mason. Here's my caution.
Is that a Hawaiian shirt?
No, it's a pillowcase.
Jessup missed.
What 80s motel are you staying in?
Jessup
That's
missed
my pillowcase.
Jessup missed John's here's my flags for this week because I'm at a hotel.
Yeah, he missed that.
No, I'm in witness protection.
Well, anyways, so Crowbar's his nickname for Chris Tukshire, and he was involved in that big lap one melee, and he had a lot of damage, but was able to drive away from that. And John and I were kind of talking back and forth on the mic. It's like, well, it looks like Chris Tukshire's drive away. And I'm like, yeah, John, unfortunately, he's got a lot of damage, so I don't think a Crowbar is going to fix that.
Well, it still beats the Becca and some of her one-liners.
Yes.
Don't mention, please don't mention.
Yes, the one that was said just a couple of years back, and
That's
I feel
my
bad for that
first year
driver.
announcing.
I feel bad for that.
I don't think
that.
This is another caution because that was not your first year of announcing.
I'm
pretty sure
John
you were
here.
very
2017?
seasoned by that time.
Moving on.
Yeah, so
Should we
moving
move
on from our one-liners that just get acknowledged but not totally acknowledged.
You know
I guess.
what?
See, I like
Let's
how-
just not
I
gonna
like-
reference this at all. Let's just cut all of it. Just
No.
cut-
Oh no, this is staying in. This
No.
is golden.
I like
Mason,
how everyone
wait-
talks about Becca being
wait.
the super upbeat, positive person, and the person throwing out like nice uplifting, fun one-liners
Yes.
as me.
Uh,
Yes.
And then John's out there just being miserable. Right there.
this podcast is not over yet, and there are still mistakes that could be made. So my yellow flag is ready.
That is actually a very
Ah.
accurate statement.
Yeah.
So that was the Jamestown recap. I'll quickly go over the last race of the weekend that I got to attend, which was at the Casino Speedway, just a kind of a regular night of racing. Very light car count for Casino Speedway standards. I was very
8.
surprised on the car count. Late models were pretty good. I think they had like 16 late models, but all the other classes were kind of low. And I mean, it's tough because a lot of racers are farmers. They're trying to deal with combining and then trying to save their cars up, I'm sure, for year-end races. But yeah, I was really surprised on the car count. But the racing was really good. Like the track was in very good condition, nice and smooth, made for a lot of slide jobs, crossovers in a lot of the classes, and it was a really excellent night of racing. And so kind of got things kicked off with the street stocks. They had a caution-free race. Jason Marco was the leader for the entire race. Maria Brooksick, who's been dominant down in South Dakota, was tracking him down like from the get-go, kind of got to second, had basically a full straightaway to make up, and she was narrowing that gap. Got about 2 laps to go. She got kind of the back bumper, and then coming around the last lap, corner 3 and 4, drag race to the line, margin of victory 0.001 seconds for Maria Brooksick over Jason Marco. So that was a very, very, very close finish. So she's a very popular driver down in Watertown, and the crowd was up on their feet for that race. That was a really good way to kick feature racing action off. In the Midwest Modifieds, I would argue this is also a really, really good race. With only 9 cars there, the top 6 were throwing sliders, throwing haymakers, crossing over, all racing hard and clean. It was a very fun race to watch. I encourage you, if you were able to go watch the replay of that race. In the end, Luke Johnson, the number 3 machine, came out with the win. So big congrats out to Luke, which I believe it's his first year in the Midwest Modified. He was racing street stock last year, and so it was a nice win for him. The modifieds went to the wild child, Scott Ward, who had to hold off a couple of haymakers from Dale Ames. That was another fun race with some slide jobs and crossovers as well. The Daytona 1 Gen X late models went to the 22 of Curtis Newberg. I believe he's from the Wilmer area, and I'm guessing that is his first win because I don't recall hearing his name in Victory Lane. So congratulations to Curtis. The Soda late models, the 1 TPO Tyler Peterson was out in front for that race for the majority, and Jason Good was kind of tracking him on the bottom, was slowly gaining on him, and then we got the lap traffic and kind of had to pick and choose the lane, and Jason kind of got boxed in and wasn't able to make a final charge at TPO, who got another win on his stellar late model rookie campaign. And then the Soda Hornets finished off the night with Bradley Rosso claiming another feature win in front of the Van Destroyer, Adam Vandersteen. So that was a nice little chill night to kind of finish out a nice solid weekend of racing in the upper Midwest. And so that is our track pack report for this week's episode. And we will move into what is upcoming for one of the last regular seasons of racing with what's upcoming next. Mr. Dakota Dirt, the floor is yours.
Now, remember, race fans, if you ever want to check out your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing news, results, recaps, weather forecasts, and so much more, you can check out Dakota Dirt on their website at dakotadirt.org. You can also check them out on their social media platform on Facebook, as they do a great job keeping all of our race fans informed much better than some of the other platforms out there. And just like that, race fans, you can never go wrong with your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing news at Dakota Dirt.
Thank you, John. Just how it's written up in the playbook. Anyways, we got a pretty busy little week here as season's kind of winding down. Thursday, August 24th, the Moonshine Mod Tour looks to be wrapping it up in Cheyenne. I thought that was supposed to finish in Granite City.
Yes, I can kind of clarify on that. So with the tiebreaker situation, there wasn't really a tiebreaker established for a points title. So being part of kind of like helping put on these tour races, we're kind of debating back and forth, like, what's the best way we can kind of resolve this? Doesn't seem fair to kind of create a tiebreaker when we didn't have one established. And so talk with both the drivers involved, Zach Johnson and Brady Gers, see if they would be interested in doing a final race for it. And so they agreed to that. And so we agreed on Cheyenne Speedway, being it's a track that neither have a lot of experience at. And so that's going to be the finale and the tiebreaker for the Moonshine Mod Tour. It's a non-points show. It's basically same payout for money, but it's to establish the points championship for the Moonshine Mod Tour. So that's what that situation is.
Thank you, Mason, for explaining that. Then we go to Friday. Friday, things start to heat up as Dacotah Speedway has their season championship. Regular season championship. And then River Cities has the World of Outlaws with the 410 Outlaw Sprint Cars. And Esteban is wrapping up their season as well, I think, on that night. I could be wrong. They might have one more weekend.
No, this is the final one for Esteban.
They had a nice little season up there. So they're wrapping it up, and we'll be moving on. So the 26th of Saturday, another pretty big weekend. We got to make one slight change here as Jamestown has pulled the plug on the tentative race that was scheduled due to trying to work in conjunction with Buffalo Jam. And so that is going to be taken off the calendar once we finish this up here. Other than that, we got the Red River Valley Speedway having the World of Outlaws once again, the 410 sprints, and they are having I think it's the Danny Schatz Memorial, the first, the inaugural, not the first annual, or else we're all going to get chastised from this group. So they got a pretty nice little payout there. I really am excited to see which IMCA Race Saver sprints come for that. I think you'll see some bigger names. I think Tyler Drucke, the current IMCA Race Saver national point leader, I think he'll make a little visit up north over there. So that should be a fun night over at the Red River Valley Speedway. And then Williston will be racing as well. And Mason, you'd know, is this their season championship?
Yes, this is Williston's season championship.
I didn't know if they decided to add any more races later because of all the cancellations that they had. So just wanted to make sure. Devil's Lake will be racing as well. And so they might get a few cars from the Jamestown area. And that'll be a nice night for them as well.
That is their late model season championship too.
Thank you, Mason. And then Sunday, the 27th, it is the Dacotah Speedway in racing action. So hopefully they can get a race in without any rain.
Yeah, weird month for Dacotah Speedway having to have a couple cancellations. They really don't cancel a whole lot. So
yeah, that's been kind of interesting. And there's one other race I kind of want to touch on because we like to do a Western roundup for our friends out west. And we haven't been able to do that lately for one reason or another. We've been kind of busy on multiple ends. But this weekend over at the Big Sky Speedway, it is the Harvey Ostermiller Memorial. And it is a big 360 sprint car race. Probably one of the highest paying sprint car races in the kind of the Plains area, as it's a $12,012 to win 2-night special August 25th and 26th. And they've got some pretty interesting names already signed up for this that are committing to go to it. I was just looking at a couple of them. I saw that Harley White will be making an appearance. I also saw that I think it was Dominic Selsey will be racing there as well, along with Jake Bubek and a few others. And I believe for us North Dakota people, our SNOSA fans, I think I saw Weston Olson will be making the tow over there as well. So it should be, if you are a sprint car fan, really you get multiple choices. You can go over west to Big Sky to watch a really good 360 show, or if you're more inclined to watch 410 sprints, you can hit either River Cities or Red River Valley. And then you also got a really, really nice looking IMCA 305 Race Saver race at Red River as well. So if you're a sprint car fan, it's going to be a good weekend.
Excellent. Thank you for the schedule for this upcoming weekend within the state of North Dakota and out west. Outside the state of North Dakota, kind of a little bit of adjustment too. Norman County's race season is completed. They have I believe, a family event going on, so they are not on the schedule for Thursday. So it's just KRA and Victory Lane Speedway on Thursday the 24th. The Dead Horse Creek Speedway in Morden, Manitoba is having their King of the Corn 2-day special, the 25th and 26th. So they've been promoting that heavily, trying to get that track back up and running. They had a great first weekend of racing, so encourage you, if you're in that area, go check it out. They are doing a lot of great work up north of the border. Also doing a doubleheader this weekend for their season championship is Brown County Speedway on the 25th and 26th. That should probably get a lot of cars there. Finishing out their season is Fiesta City Speedway on the 25th as well. And 994 Speedway is running a regular show as well. The 26th, Bemidji Speedway is running on a rare Saturday. They have 2 nights, including this Sunday, the 27th. Greenbush Race Park is running, as well as North Central Speedway, Ogilvie Raceway, which I believe is their championship night, and Viking Speedway has their championship night as well. And the 27th includes Buffalo River, Casino Speedway, and Granite City Motor Park to finish out the weekend. So definitely plenty of racing to be had. A lot of the tracks are finishing up the regular season. Most of them have a year-end special, some don't. So be sure to check the schedules if you want to get racing at a certain track, that might be your last weekend to do so in that area. So with that, we'll transition to our final segment with the white flag and thank our other sponsor, Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro of Hot Sauce Enterprises. It's been a little bit quiet this week. I'm sure busy combining and farming and all that, but he'll be out racing this weekend if the weather cooperates, which I'm hopeful it will. Be sure to check him out in the pits. Got a lot of great snacks and goodies, and it's a great guy to talk to, driving the IMCA Modified number 12S. Thank you so much, Isaac, for supporting us on the podcast. Who has a couple of wins of the week that they want to kick things off with? John, you seem excited, so go ahead.
Yes, I will go first because I have a couple of big wins here too. So first of all, I have to give a huge congratulations over to Justin Jones for winning the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour Points Championship. So that tour, you get to throw out one show overall, your lowest show, and Justin had a great tour. He never finished, besides one show he threw out, outside of the top 5. So he had a great tour, finishing great each and every night, and he beat Lucas Rodian, which we all know is not an easy task because Lucas was your back-to-back champion before this year. So congratulations to Justin on a very, very nice win over there as well. My next one is I have to give a big win over to Mike Gresseth. Gresseth picked up the Howie Show Memorial win in a great race over there at Red River Valley Speedway with a very nice payout. And also thank you to Cole Schill and all of the Schill family. They do such a nice job going through and doing everything for that race and making it such a big event. So those are my 2 wins of the week. My 3rd win of the week, I am going to give it over to the Carpenter family of Jeff Carpenter and friends and family. And the reason why I'm doing that is because they raise so much money for the Jeff Carpenter Memorial Race. It was the 5th annual this year. They do such a good job of getting sponsorships together, donors together, and other individuals. Tony Smith is involved with that. His wife is also involved with that as well, Courtney. And then you have Randy Klein, who does a ton of work. He ran Scott Bince's backup car on Saturday night. And then you also have to thank, Scott as a whole for bringing the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour over. And then finally, we have to give also a big shout out to Sean Becker. Sean actually donated not $100 for each junior race fan on Saturday night that were junior trophy presenters. So thank you to Sean for donating that $100 for each one of our junior trophy presenters on Saturday night over in Jamestown.
It's good. Yeah, you mentioned the name Sean Becker. He hasn't really been racing a lot this year, if at all, has
He
he?
has not raced at all. He sold his car midway through the season last year.
Okay. Yeah, that was one guy that I was like, oh yeah, we haven't seen him out this year. So awesome gesture for the junior trophy presenters. Great. Jessup, you were the next person I saw very excited to share some wins. So go ahead.
Well, I will throw one win out to Mitch Johnson for a very strong performance. So, suck it, Mason. I win. No, Mitch Johnson had a great weekend over at the Howie Show Memorial. He had two wonderful performances, and it's definitely awesome to see him back up front, vying for wins every chance that he gets. So that's pretty awesome. And then my second one goes to Scotty Gartner for getting the ice cream machine working again back in the camp after kind of a rough night at Dacotah Speedway and to rebound and have some fun with just a little fun pun that we had going there for a bit. So that's my second one, and my third one goes out to another modified. Hats off to Jeremy Keller after having some really bad and unfortunate luck, pretty much stemming from Gov Cup back, and to bring out a brand new car and win in it, that's really impressive. So not a lot of people can say on their very first night with a brand new car that they can be that successful. So those are my 3 wins this week.
Excellent 3 wins, even though you took one of mine. That's okay.
Sorry, Mason.
I was expecting that one to get taken by either you or John. Go ahead, Becca. See if you eliminate any more wins off my list.
I am shocked that John and Jessup did not take any wins off my list. So my first win of the week goes to Kennedy Swan, who picked up her very first Wasota modified victory over at the Granite City back on August 20th. Beat like Shane Sabraski and quite a few big names in Wasota country. So congratulations to Kennedy Swan for picking up her very first Wasota modified feature victory again over at the Granite City. My second win of the week goes to Maria Bronsick, who picked up a thriller of a win down at Casino again on August 20th. That's another one off Mason's list, obviously. Won by 0.001, basically 1/1000th of a second, probably just like an inch or two. The video on Dirt Race Central does not give that finish justice because she came out on the high side, and where the camera is positioned. Jessup.
Keep going.
Oh, anyway, she had a run on the outside, and where that camera is positioned on Dirt Race Central, it doesn't give the finish justice because it was so close. It's really exciting finish in the Wasota Street Stock feature down at Casino. So congratulations to Maria on just edging out over Jason Marco. So oh gosh, I really thought people would take drivers off my list. So I did not expect to have those two right off the bat. But I'm also going to give my third win of the week to Caden Roberts, who picked up his very first IMCA modified feature victory ever. This is his rookie season in that division, and he picked up his very first win in the modifieds, as well as picking up a win at Dacotah Speedway, which is kind of a difficult feat, considering there are a lot of drivers who really know that track inside and out. And it's been, I have to say, this year has been very diverse in the winners in the modified division, which is really refreshing to see. But I'm super happy to see Caden Roberts. He really just dominated that race, led all 25 laps, and just won it in just dominating fashion. So congratulations to Caden Roberts for picking up his very first IMCA modified feature win over at the Dacotah Speedway back on August 11th.
Excellent. Great set of wins. You kind of eliminated one blanket win that I had for lady racers. And so good job. I have 3 more wins. I'll quickly add. I'll put Brendan Waite to the top of my wins of the week. He's, I believe, swept the last 3 Rebel Tour races at Cheyenne, I-94, and Jamestown. So he had 3 solid wins over the last couple of weeks to finish out the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour. And so he's riding the momentum wave at a great time of the season, heading to the invitational races. And so he's going to be a tough guy to beat when it comes to those races as well. My second win goes to Brian Deedy. He won the feature race. I believe it was down in Miller, South Dakota on Friday night with the Tri-State Late Model Series. His dad passed away, I believe, within the last week. And so it was a very tough week for him. And he doesn't race a whole lot, especially with his business being busy. And even that weighing on him, I'm sure that was a very tough week for him. But to put his car in victory lane, a guy that doesn't race a ton, very big win for Brian Deedy in the 1 QT, I believe it is. So big congrats out to him. And my third win of the week, I'm going to go back down to South Dakota because they do a couple one-off races at Huron. It goes to Austin Arbogast. They do a special thing called Orr's Pot of Gold. And what that is I believe they take the top 15 finishers from each of those classes into a random drawing for a big chunk of money. It was $5,000, and Austin Arbogast came away with that $5,000. And so that's kind of a cool little thing that they put together down at Dakota State Fair Speedway down in Huron to kind of give some extra money to maybe some unsuspecting drivers that maybe don't see a lot of success. But I thought it was really cool that Austin got the $5,000 down there on Saturday. So those are our wins of the week. I do have a couple quick closing thoughts, as I know it's getting late for a lot of the folk on here. Quick shout out to Levi Olson. He was kind of shadowing me at Viking Speedway. He wanted me to kind of give a little plug for, he's a very young guy. I want to say he's like 7 or 8 years old, but starting out in the kind of a video realm and kind of shadowing me a little bit with videos. And so I wanted to give him a shout out. He's starting a YouTube page, Levi Olson's Racing Videos. So I wanted to give him a quick shout out for him getting started. The other shout out or thing I wanted to mention is we're trying to do a pick'em league for the Track Packers. So if you are interested in doing that fantasy wise, it'd be just picking all the games, kind of keeping it simple each week for the NFL season. We're going to be kind of getting that in the works over the next week. So if you, I'll be posting on Snapchat and Facebook. Let me know if you're interested, and might do like a little $5 buy-in and see how many we get interested and see what all happens come NFL season, because that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so with that, that will do it for episode number 25 of the Track Packers Podcast Season 2. Be sure to like, share, comment on our videos and on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review, or check us out on Spotify and Google as well. This is one of the last weekends of regular season racing, so it is your job to go out there and pack the track this weekend and get ready for invitational season.